fact, the United States created ISIS. Nothing like it existed before the American occupation. It was an insurgency that battened on the hatred of the Americans and the vulnerability and hatred of the Sunnis for the Shia. There's no way to understand it happening without the Americans there, because it built itself like a kind of bacterial host on the American occupation. We created it, it's ours, and now we're trying to deal with the consequences.
Go ahead.
During your speech, you made a lot of references to Jewish people as well as certain people in your audience, not Jewish people in general, but certain people, especially in your audience, to Nazis. Now, that is extremely offensive when certain people are German, and they're also extremely offensive to people who've actually suffered under Nazi rule.
I don't respect that anymore. I really don't. I don't like and I don't respect the crocodile tears. The crocodile tears. No. I'm sorry, folks. Allow me to finish and allow me to finish. Listen, sir. Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. Sir. I don't like to play the foreign audience the Holocaust card. But since now I feel compelled to. My late father was in Auschwitz. My late mother, please shut up. My late mother was in Majdanek concentration camp. Every single member of my family on both sides was exterminated. Both of my parents were in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. And it's precisely and exactly because of the lessons my parents taught me and my two siblings that I will not be silent when Israel commits its crimes against the Palestinians. And I consider nothing more despicable than to use their suffering and their martyrdom to try to justify the torture, the brutalization, the demolition of homes that Israel daily commits against the Palestinians. So I refuse any longer to be intimidated or browbeaten by the tears. If you had any heart in you, you would be crying for the Palestinians, not for what's inside.
Throughout the entire history of the Iraq War, who was the guy financing or underwriting or patronizing jihadists flowing into Iraq more than anybody else in the Middle East? Bashar al-Assad. Remember that the Syrian military, at the officer level, it's mostly Alawites because they benefited from this patronage system. They were promoted above the Sunnis, but the Sunni conscripts were the ones who were actually carrying the packs and the guns and going out and doing the fighting. They would be sent into territories and told, you're going to fight terrorists, except when they got there, they weren't terrorists. There were people marching in the streets with banners and saying, you know, we want the downfall of the regime. So the military refused to open fire. The Mukhabarat came in and said, if you don't open fire on them, we're going to open fire on you. The first clashes and defections occurred actually in Idlib province in 2011 because the military refused to shoot peaceful, unarmed protesters. So Assad starts losing the war of ideas. So what does he do? 2011, he declares a general amnesty for what he pretends are political prisoners. In fact, a lot of the jihadis who he had once sent over into Iraq and then arrested when they came back to Syria were let out of prison. The three top Islamist brigades or rebel units on the ground up until recently, the commanders of all three were former inmates of Sednaya prison in Damascus. They were let out in May of 2011 by Bashar al-Assad. Why did he do this? People would radicalize. People would turn to the guys with the long black beards, promising them not even heaven on earth or you know, virgins in the afterlife, but just saying to them, this guy came and he raped your daughter, or he threw your son into a prison and electrocuted his genitals. We're going to go blow him up. And the people would say, have at it. You know, we think of ISIS as the most barbaric and brutal organization in the Middle East. Let me tell you, anything you've seen, anything you've read in newspapers about what they've done, Assad has done that and worse. Burning people alive, Assad's militias, Assad's Shabiha, those are mercenary gangs responsible for some of the worst massacres. They lock whole Sunni families in their homes and set the house on fire and let the families cook alive. You're just not seeing it on CNN.
We have all these people attacking Turkey, but the reality of Turkey is Turkey has only recently paid off completely their IMF debt. And why isn't that in the news? Why is Erdogan being demonized as a tyrant when he has shown incredible fiscal responsibility for his country with immense growth? And now we're going to see constraints put on Turkey, you will see, from outside. And Turkey is going to get hit economically. You'll see this in the future. Why? Because there are entities on this planet that do not want to see a successful Muslim model. And Turkey is an extraordinary country with a great people. They have proven that Muslims and seculars can live side by side. They have proven this.